Welcome back to Coast View, and Merry Christmas, as I continue to say, as we zero in on this Christmas holiday. I'm so pleased to have now my friend, the mayor of the city of Gulfport, Billy Hewes. How you doing, Billy?
We're doing good, just kind of like everybody, wrapped up in this busy time of the year. We're supposed to be able to take a breath and chill and relax and just take things into account with our loved ones, and maybe we'll get to that, but we're still busy as ever.
Well, as I said, I had a terrific opportunity to visit with Philip Gunn, the Speaker of the House, recently. And as I said, this is a time of year for reflection. It's an opportunity for us to pause for a second and reflect on the things that are important to us in our lives. And one of the things that I would share was that Benjamin Franklin said that a good conscience means taking Christmas into the year. So whatever it is we're doing right now, if we could take that into the year and do that every day, appreciate the moments every day, not just at Christmas, the world would be a better place, wouldn't it?
Sage advice. And our founding fathers, there's a lot of wisdom to be gleaned from that era in our country's history, for sure. The writings and just a lot of biographies. If you ever take the time and want to do some reading, there's plenty of good material out there that they did.
There really is. There really
is.
From
a foundational and a philosophical standpoint.
It's a great time to visit the city of Gulfport, the harbor lights, the collaboration between the aquarium and the lights, what's going on downtown, the decorations, this real sense that it's the holiday season in full bore. You get to feel it there, don't you?
I would of course respond saying that any time's a great time to visit the city of Gulfport, but I get what you're saying. We always look to how do we extend that tourism season and how do we celebrate what is Gulfport and this coast in a larger sense. So we've kind of got our own brand, and we do have a traditional downtown with the holiday spirit and feel. But with the new amenities, the addition of the aquarium and some of the festivities and functions that go on, we try different things throughout the year, whether it's, buskers singing and providing some music down in Fishbone Alley to the Harbor Lights, which continues to be a huge draw, setting records this year. Number one, again, light show in Mississippi and top 10 again in America. So there's something happening that we've kind of tapped into that people are looking to not only embracing Gulfport's tradition, but making it their own. It has really transformed into a huge family event. And that's before we even, have the future tram bridge that's going to be linking Jones Park, the aquarium, downtown, the expanding and growth that's going on there. So, we're in a pretty good place.
We mentioned the aquarium, but let's just focus for just a second. This is an entity that had to open during the pandemic, with all these hurricane scares around it, and had to get its feet underneath us. But what I'm hearing coming out of the aquarium these days is very, very positive, and the attendance has been good. You got to be thrilled with what you see there these days.
They have some real good leadership out of Kurt Allen, and what is really neat to see, if you track and look at social media, you can't pick up and whatever platform you like without seeing something about the aquarium. And usually it's some new programming, something fresh that they go, whether it's the ales and sails, whether it's the mermaids, whether it's Santa Claus in the dive tank. There are themes, there are seasonal things that they have embraced. So they have come about, to drive some of the things that we're seeing down there as far as keeping it fresh, keeping it new, and, just enjoying that asset.
Yeah, you're right about that, though. I mean, every time I turn around, there's some new exhibit or some new promotion where people can be engaged. A lot of focus on kids and engaging kids, but a lot of activities. And I think that's part of the deal. But the fact that so many people have gone through there is a real testament to that leadership. And again, it could not have opened up at a more challenging time. I mean, again, not just the pandemic, but the hurricanes and everything else that came with that. And they have just stayed in there and proven their resiliency up to this point, haven't they?
I think that bodes well for the future. We expected it to take a real hit with COVID. It's diminishment of activities in general with Ida, Hurricane Ida, even though it wasn't a direct hit, it still affected us and people. So, theirs is a cyclical business like most things in tourism, but bringing more people in like we are, that is one of those draws that makes people, if they're thinking about going from one community to another, they've got multiple options and activities here in Gulfport. And they're choosing to come here, and so it boosts the economy in a lot of ways. It puts more people in those hotel rooms, more people in the restaurants, to discovering and going back and being our ambassador, saying, "Man, you got to go check that out." I was speaking to a group of mayors up in Washington a few days ago, and they were telling us what's happening in their town. One was from New York, for example. One was from Fort Worth. Really huge cities in great growth modes. But at the end of the discussion, they said, "Good gosh, I want to come to Gulfport." And so we give our Chamber of Commerce speeches. We accentuate the positive, and none of us live in the land of milk and honey, but what we've got is our own version of paradise, and it's a pretty neat place. We have our challenges and problems like everybody. It's like this election cycle we just went through, Ricky. Anybody can point out what's wrong. It's the folks who want to get engaged and talk about what we can do better and how we make improvements and acknowledge that we have challenges and figure out how we're going to go forward. And sometimes you find yourself playing a leadership role with the example. And you probably wanted to get into this as far as what the outlook is, but as we assess what's happened in the year, I look at this team that we've assembled, and there's a lot of freshness, there are a lot of new faces, and there's some great enthusiasm for what we stand for and the brand that is Gulfport.
Yeah, I see it. I mentioned to you before we started the show, if you go to the City of Gulfport mayor's page, obviously you're going to talk about the lights, you're going to talk about parades, but see, when you start thinking about things like Leadership Gulf Coast and hosting meetings there, so you can have not just an opportunity to touch leaders from all over the coast as they come to your city to learn about your city, but to impress upon them how we're all in this together, that all the cities working together can make a big difference. You've had the opportunity on a number of occasions to talk about sort of the state of the city as it relates to the year that we just went through and then the year that's ahead. You spend a lot of time sort of positioning your successes, the opportunities in front of you in a way that helps you appreciate that Gulfport and help others appreciate how Gulfport fits into the bigger picture. You spend a lot of time with that, don't you?
We do. That's the nature of it. You're always assessing your strengths and your weaknesses and, trying to bolster both areas. The Leadership Gulf Coast program, you talk about something that's been, really monumental and impactful. And along a similar line, we started a Mayor's Youth Council almost a decade ago to get our youth involved and from all the high schools in the area to participate. And it's a tight little group. But we live in what many people's version is just an amazing place. You and I talked about when I was coming up, through high school and college, I worked, two jobs. One was on the weekends renting sailboats and another on the docks as a longshoreman. But so on the weekends, I'd see people come by and people forget that this Highway 49 corridor is Heartland America coming down into our area. That's where the snowbirds, a lot of them come down. Many of them for the first time. And so when I would be working the sailboats, I'd see people come in and they're not dressed for the beach. They're fully clothed, and they'd come out. And I'd go over and talk to them, say, "What's up?" They said, "This is the first time we've seen the ocean." To us, it's the Gulf, but we see it. Our commute takes us by there almost every day, and it's something we really take for granted. And we need to avail ourselves of the things in our communities that people come down and visit and go back and talk about, whether it's the restaurants, whether it's the Harbor Lights Festival, whether it's Ship Island. How many of us have not been to Ship Island ever to see how beautiful and different that is from our regular shoreline? There's some cool stuff here. Just some of the cruises and environmental tours, eco tours up and down the rivers. This is a cool place. Very special.
Well, throughout my career, I gained a tremendous appreciation for urban planning. Certainly after Katrina, we focused even more on that. But the fact has always been that Gulfport was sort of, as you go down 25th Avenue and enter Highway 9, it was always going to be the crown jewel of the entry point for coastal Mississippi, not just for tourists, but in terms of really grasping the economic aspect of this. If you think about Gulfport, you've got the state port of Gulfport, and then you have this downtown area, you have a railroad, you have interstate highways that are accessible. I mean, Gulfport is so well positioned. And then you have the emergence of mixed use and what's happening in those conversations and people wanting to live, work, and play nearby, the ability to attract remote workers and the new economy, and then the blue economy that's emerging at the port. I mean, we could literally spend 2 or 3 hours talking about all these different dimensions. And yes, it's always easy to find a few things that might not be going right. But the key to leadership is finding what's going well and keeping the vision alive and well to say, okay, this is where we're going because the opportunities are too significant not to stay focused on them. That's probably your elevator speech every day. You have the opportunity to tell it, isn't it?
It is, and the key is not to get myopic. Sometimes, whether it's a political subdivision or a city, we tend to focus on things and lose sight of that larger picture. I'll use the build grant as a great example, how it's going to be impactful. And if you were anywhere in the I-1049 corridor on Black Friday, you couldn't get in and out of that area. That is dangerous. But we want to make things easier for come and go. And if it's easier for them to come and shop here and stay here and not get in that dangerous traffic snarl, it can be a difference maker. So I can't underscore how that is one of those next transformative, not sexy, but transformational public projects that we've got to
make. We'll come back to that in a second because I was actually there around that time. And what I observed, I'll explain to you what I observed when we come back on the other side of this. But this is Mayor Billy Hewes from the city of Gulfport, and join us for the final segment after this break.
You can also listen live to SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast 103.1 on your Amazon Alexa devices. Once you've enabled the skill, just say, Alexa, open SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast.
Welcome back to Coast. We have Mayor Billy Hewes from the city of Gulfport. And, in this holiday season, you get a chance to reflect, and when we went to break, we were talking about it's not always sexy, but infrastructure improvements are something you got to be focused on. And what we're talking about is the traffic coming off of I-10 onto 49 headed toward in the vicinity of the outlet mall. Well, I've never seen anything like that before. I was coming from the New Orleans area, headed back to the coast, and the traffic was backed up with, I'm talking about the majority of these are Louisiana tags, backed up down, to a stop on I-10. Coming into coming off of I-10 onto 49, and everything was hung up by that traffic light. The traffic light was going through its normal cycles, and the traffic was just getting further and further backed up. We need to solve that problem. But what's amazing to me is how much of a sucking sound off of I-10 there is during this time of year for people to invest their money in Gulfport. It's amazing, isn't it?
There's every opportunity for folks to come here and shop. It happens to be the thing now, but whether it's the Sportsplex, that ropes course out there, the water park, and the shopping restaurants, that is a really neat corridor, that intersection. That really is now Gulfport Central Business District, all of that. And, we identified when I came into office 8 years ago that we need roads now. We need on the south side, we need Creosote Road to go all the way across the canal, provide that relief valve. We need the same kind of service drive from where Anchor Plaza is, which is around the new Sam's and the Nukes and all that, over to the Sportsplex and Landon Road. We're finally about to start with the widening of Landon Road, but it's still, once it's done, we're going to need the next phase. These things take too much time. They're very long. And while we have a great team working forward on them, we've got to find massive amounts of federal funds. Well, we got it for the build grant. But sometimes, even when we got good ideas and we're working towards collectively, there's some that want to tackle you from behind, as Dr. Kelly used to say, about your own teammates. And we've got to have a larger vision as far as where this community is going, what's best in the larger picture without ignoring the needs of smaller communities, surrounding communities. So everybody grows in a very methodical, effective fashion. And I think that's what we've been trying to do. And so it's plotting progress. But that sucking sound you talk about, that is an indication that we're doing a lot of things right, where a lot of people want to be, whether it's to live here, work, or play, as you always say. And so, but it also underscores that if we don't get some relief on those, people are going to find other places where it's easier to do business. And so we've got plans in play. As you know, we restructured a lot of our debt and took the tax monies that came from the internet that was adopted a couple of years ago, and we've dedicated those to road projects in Gulfport, resurfacing as well as new projects. So we're going to see a very, very robust and aggressive progression towards fixing our roads, improving our roads. A lot of folks could like to say, well, you only do that in election year. No, this is something that we're always working on. And so these will be, the contracts will be let very soon as we get the engineering done. So that's really great news for us moving forward on a lot of levels. But we know that the challenge we have are usually growth challenges. And as long as we get those right, get a handle on our youth violence issues that are going on. And the chief has announced a Before the Bullet campaign to deal with kids with guns, kids get involved and try to get them steered in the right direction before the crime occurs, before they get into a bad way. So we're trying to be proactive on those fronts as well. And again, our internal city leadership, I believe, are setting a good pace, a good standard, and some example in doing that.
Yeah, I can see that from where I'm sitting as well. Hey, so in the short time we have left, as you look toward 2022, what's it feel like to you?
Well, it feels like we're still drinking from that fire hose because there's a lot on the books. There are a lot of unknowns from what this Omicron or future variants of COVID is going to be. The good news is we kind of have a playbook now as far as how to respond, how to react, what to expect. So we're not as daunted by this. Again, as long as we don't have our hospitals overrun and medical facilities, we're going to be able to weather just about anything that comes our way. That's the plan. But the infrastructure bill, the act that the feds passed, we don't know. They don't know what it looks like. They're still formulating rules. But the fact of the matter is there should be a lot of monies in our communities to do some things that maybe we couldn't have considered before. Major infrastructure to our wastewater plants. That's not sexy to talk about, but it's so essential and necessary, getting where water mains are old or aged. So there's a lot of reassessment of things we didn't think we could do that now we get to sit back and retool. And it's going to take more people. It's going to take more time. But if the money's there, we want to try to make the most of that monies as we move forward. So there's opportunity is the bottom line for all of us. Well,
as we wind down, we first of all say congratulations on 2021. Tough year. I mean, yeah. but as you pointed out, we had 2020 to sort of understand the realities. 2021, we could implement a lot of these new innovations, and coastal Mississippi has performed incredibly well compared to the rest of the nation. And good luck to you in 2022. And with that said, let me just say Merry Christmas to you and your family. Hope you all have a great holiday, and we'll see you after the first of the year.
Yeah, Merry Christmas to you and yours, to all. If Mother Nature will leave us alone this year, it's gonna be just a bang up year. But God's blessing to everybody. Hope you stay safe.
You bet, absolutely. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you on Monday.